Just to let you know, Vortex, my opinion of a person goes up significantly whenever I discover that they smoke cigarettes. Okay? Don't let anybody fool you. Cigarettes are one of the greatest habits ever. If I could have any addiction in the world, it would be cigarettes. I know that people probably assume that the whole toothpick, cigarette, schtick, my tooth schtick. I don't know if I still have it from earlier. I probably got rid of it. But yeah, I usually have a toothpick in my mouth and I'm like puffing on it like a cigarette. Yeah, that's not a joke. I love cigarettes. It has a lot to do with schizophrenia because most schizophrenics love to smoke because it improves their symptoms. They're able to focus. They smell good, right? Well, schizos have this issue of not bathing, so, if they're chain smoking, that's all you can smell. So, rather than their, lack of personal hygiene. So, no. We're pretty good about that now. We used to have more of a problem with that. But that's just because Western social norms don't make any sense to us. So, people that obsess about looking good and smelling good and, impressing the masses of total retards, we just don't understand that logic at all. And I realize, though, that when it comes to, varying levels of psychosis, what really makes all the difference is just that person's level of awareness. And not just awareness of themselves, but like awareness of the world that they live in. Okay? So I cry all the time, but I know that I can't just like have an emotional meltdown in front of certain people because those people are sheep, and so naturally they think that I need to be on some kind of medication because they can't handle saline. They can't handle tears coming out of, you guessed it, tear ducts. They're so shocked that this happens. And so, because you're making somebody uncomfortable, they can't help but assume that you need some sort of medical aid that doesn't aid you in anything but massive weight gain and potential suicide. But they don't know that, and they don't want to know that, and they don't care about your well-being because they don't know anything about most things that they suggest. But, because they're a Westernite, you have to forgive them because they know not what they do. They purposely avoid things that make them uncomfortable, and they avoid things that they don't understand. Now, I'm like the opposite. If I don't understand something, like, I want to know more about it. If I'm uncomfortable, I want to know why I'm uncomfortable. If something offends me, I want to understand why it offended me. So, the reason I don't have a smartphone has more to do with the world than it does, my paranoia about the government or big tech or whatever. I just don't want one. And I also look at everybody that has one literally retarding themselves, verb, okay? So they're making themselves stupid, and they're making themselves a drug addict. I mean, that's already happened. That doesn't need to happen. That's already happened. And they're just, continuing to stay addicted to this scrolling and whatever the fuck they do on that Death Star device. But I just look at society and it makes me so depressed. And so, like, I'm not gonna contribute to that if I can avoid contributing to that, if that makes any sense. Now, I realize, though, that there are plenty of people that, because of their occupations and because of their family obligations, or, you know, whatever they do, it's like they can't make those kinds of decisions that I've made. They can't just subtract themselves from certain elements of this world. But that's why schizos are superior. That's why we're in cluster A, because we are naturally resilient towards the world. We're naturally resilient towards things that don't make sense. We're naturally resilient to things that don't work, like medication, okay? So, of course, Sigmund Freud, though he wasn't wrong about everything, he was a raging sexist, which is awesome. But he liked to deem us, what's the word he used? Resistant. Yeah, we're resistant towards medication. We're resistant towards treatment. Well, actually, medication didn't exist back then. But resistant towards treatment. It's because we didn't trust him. You know, if I don't trust you, I'm not going to, like, go along with your advice. But I think that a lot of people in this world, especially people who live in America, they don't care if somebody's advice makes any sense, because they just want to fit in and they just want to, you know, do whatever they have to do to get by. But I don't look at fitting in as getting by. I think that is counterintuitive, because, you know, I want to feel right about myself. I want to feel right about my actions. And I think that one of the reasons why people are so stupid on the internet, and why, you know, they think that they're some sort of rebel badass because they say a bunch of racial slurs, or they have opinions that are controversial. Oh my goodness. Imagine that, a controversial opinion. But it's like they pride themselves on being like some sort of alternative, but they're really not that resilient. I mean, you can't be resilient when you're like doing the same exact thing as all the sheep that you think are like really naive or demonic or whatever. You know? It's like y'all are using the same demonic device that is controlling your behavior. I mean, if you're doing this all the time, that is mind control. Anyway, I just had to get that